And how would you compare platonic male friendships with female friendships?
Is there such a thing as a platonic male friendship?
I don't believe so, but
Well, I've had both. I mean, I've had a lot of female friends and a lot of male friends too. But I think for the typical woman, if there is such a thing, I've had a lot of male friends and kind of been surrounded by a lot of guys. In the business that I work in, it's almost all guys.
what business?
Commercial real estate.
Okay. A lot of Jews too.
Yeah, on the west side.
You're not Jewish?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, you are? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Where did you spend Rosh Hashanah?
At my parents' house. My dad made Chinese food.
Very traditional.
Very traditional.
Okay, male versus female friendships.
So yeah, I think that male friendships are really fun because even though they're platonic or you want it to be platonic, there is just it's you're being with a guy, and that's just sometimes it's a little more exciting or more comforting than being with a girl. And for me, I mean, guys were always like a lot more fun in terms of they'd go out for like a long bike ride or play paddle tennis, or they were more active. Okay, so guys in a lot of ways for me were like I'm dead now. More fun because they were more active and more willing to do a lot of things like sports, go for a long bike ride or go for, play paddle tennis, go on ski trips. And a lot of my female friends, even though they might want to do some of that stuff with me, they weren't like, it was never pushing me, it was more like I had to help them or kind of move them along. This sounds so bigoted, but that's how it was a lot of the times. But then with male friendships, there always is that thing of, at some point, somebody gets interested in somebody. Usually the guy gets interested in you, or maybe he's not even interested, but he gets interested in having sex with you or something.
How do you feel about platonic sex?
Platonic sex? I think it can be a very good thing at a certain point in life. I've had like relationships that were pretty much just for sex, not for emotional stuff. And sometimes the sex can be great because you don't have all that other stuff. So platonic sex can be a good thing. I highly recommend
it. Differences, benefits, disadvantages of male versus female friendships. With female friends you can do X and Y, or with male friends you can do E and G, whatever it is.
Okay. Well, let's see. With female friends, I think I've always felt a little more. I can be a little more intimate and talk about how I feel, or talk about things that worry me, or just I can communicate a little bit better in more personal ways. But with guys, I can communicate better with more kind of outward ways and more, talk about business better with a guy than with a girl, unless it's a woman in business. God, as I talk, it's like all these little stereotypes come out, and I hear myself and I go, ugh. So let's see, what are the other differences? Well, one of the things about, having guy friends is that sometimes you love the guy, as a friend, and you have no interest in him, and then of course the inevitable happens where he's interested, and you have that whole thing to deal with it. So that's a bummer. What else? They're both good, you gotta have both, I think. Women and men friends.
What goes on in the ladies' room? When a woman disappears for half an hour when you're on a date with her, she's in there with her friends.
Well, a lot goes on. You definitely talk about who you're with. If you're on a date and you go into the woman's room, whether they're your friends or not, you talk about who you're with and what's going on, and you definitely spend a lot of time in front of the mirror and, putting on lipstick and just looking at yourself, making sure you look good, and, or actually commenting on how bad you look. And you definitely talk about the date, or you talk about the guy that you are interested in, or you talk about gossip, who else is with who, that kind of stuff.
When you've been counted as one of the guys, or when you've overheard a male to male conversation about women, how would you compare the two? The way guys on their own talk about girls and the way ladies on their own talk about men?
I think that women are much more specific and detailed when they talk about men, especially when they're talking about guys and sex. That's what I found. Women will talk about many details, and guys, they don't as much, at least not with me around, and they talk about a lot with me around, but they don't get into real specifics like physical descriptions. I mean, maybe a basic physical description, but not like real detailed. And definitely guys don't get into details about like what she did, or then what he did, or how it felt, or anything like that. So girls are much more detailed.
Do you think guys would be shocked if they got to listen in on some of these intimate female conversations?
Often, yes. Definitely. I think guys in relationships a lot of times assume that what happens in the relationship is really private, and it's maybe not as private as they think.
What tips could you give men so that they become better lovers?
Well, kind of like what I said before, is that if you're interested in who's in front of you and what they're interested in, let's see, to be a better lover, you got to be in good shape, and be one of the things I think to be a good lover is to, I mean, it's kind of a fine line, because on the one hand, a guy should be seeing what the woman's interested in and trying to please her, and on the other hand, he should be selfish, because what I think is attractive in a guy is a guy who is taking total pleasure in what's going on. So pleasure for himself, rather than like if you're with a guy and you can just see that all he has is this goal of making you, happy. Doesn't totally work.
How come so many women don't have happies?
Don't have what?
Happies.
What do you mean?
Orgasms.
I don't know. I don't understand that. That's a foreign concept to me. I guess I would say that sex is such a weird topic, and it's a sensitive thing, and when you're young and you get involved with somebody sexually, I think it can be a really delicate thing, and if it doesn't get handled right, like the first time or the first couple times, you can get a whole, stigma or a whole worry about it. And even from before then, I mean, I know for me, I definitely thought I was going to be a virgin until I was married. And
you weren't?
Well, are you going to show this to my parents? If you are, then I was. So I think that there is a little stigma, at least there was for me, of being a good girl and things that you don't do. And so for me, I mean, it's a total generalization, but I think that women feel or can go into it feeling like they're doing something wrong in the first place, and then if they get a guy that doesn't know what he's doing, or he's just there to get his rocks off and doesn't care about the girl, it can be a horrible experience. And then you add that up with more bad experiences with guys, and sex becomes something that's like not fun.
How can we speak about women giving sex to a guy and a man taking?
To make them feel good about it. It's a little secret. I don't know.
That's how I generally think. I don't know.
That's how you think of it? You think of this?
Well, like, I keep hearing it, and I know that I'm many more times wanting it than getting it. And so when I get it, it's a cause for celebration. Unless it's in a relationship, then it evens out more. But just when you're dating a woman or something.
Well, I think because when you're dating a woman, a guy goes into it thinking that sex is a great thing and they want to get it. And a woman goes into it with that little voice in her head going, you shouldn't do it, you're not supposed to, you're going to be loose, you're going to be a slut, blah, blah, blah. And so even though she wants to, she has all these hesitations. So she's usually the one that sort of gives in the sense that she's kind of giving in to her hesitation.